Wow, your mom only finished middle school and works part-time? Are you here for the money? When my mother answered janitor when asked about her occupation by my soon-to-be father-in-law, the whole family burst into laughter. Seriously? A cleaning lady? That's as low as it gets. I can't even imagine. I couldn't believe they were mocking my mother, who raised me single-handedly, so cruelly. I couldn't bear the thought of becoming family with these people. Well then, let's just pretend this conversation never happened. I brushed them off coldly. My name is Emily Yale. I turned 26 this year. I graduated from a public university with a degree in education and currently work as an English teacher at a public high school. I live a rather fulfilling life every day. Today, I'm going on a weekday date with my boyfriend, John, for the first time in a while. We plan to dine at a restaurant he booked. Sorry to keep you waiting. You've had a long week. You too. Thanks for all your hard work every day. John, who is the same age as me, graduated from medical school and is currently a resident doctor. We met at a college club and it's already been 5 years since we started dating. He's incredibly kind and sincere, and I even feel like he's too good of a boyfriend for me. During the tough times, when we both were busy with national and job placement exams, we did get into fights from being under immense pressure, but we always reconciled quickly and supported each other. As I was eating dessert, I was thinking that this lovely restaurant seemed a bit pricier than usual, when suddenly, John turned serious. My residency will be over soon. Medicine is a tough profession, but I want to do my best to become a full-fledged doctor. Together. With you, Emily. Will you marry me? That's when he presented me a ring. John? Tears welled up in my eyes as I looked straight at him. Thank you! I'm so happy! I think we can always support each other if we're together. With a trembling voice, I accepted his proposal. My mom should be happy for us, or so I thought while accepting. My mother, Linda, lost her husband when she was young and raised me all on her own. Her father, that is, my grandfather, once suggested that we live together, but she declined, and we have been living with just the two of us since then. The first time I met my grandparents was when I was in the upper grades of elementary school. Because I got married against my parents' wishes, I was young and stubborn, and couldn't rely on them right away. I might have caused you to suffer because of that. That's what my mom always said, but I don't remember ever feeling that way. My mother, who was always positive and kind and showered me with unconditional love, is the most important person in my life. She is also the woman I aspire to be. When I went to report the engagement with John, my mom blessed us from the bottom of her heart. Congratulations! I'm so happy for you. I'm sure you'll be very happy with John. Thank you. I look forward to our future together, said John. And my mom was on the verge of tears. While feeling happy about the two of them, I said, we need to greet your parents as well. Thank you. I went to a boarding school from middle through high school and lived alone, even in college, so I don't see my family very often. But I think they'll be happy. Make sure to properly introduce yourself to John's family, dear. After all, you're about to become part of their family. My mother wholeheartedly supports us. I heard his family are all doctors. His father has his own hospital, and his mother is a stay-at-home housewife. And apparently, he has a younger brother who's 8 years younger than him. I hope we get along, but introducing myself makes me nervous. Don't worry. I'll arrange somewhere for us to meet. Yes, thank you. I'm nervous, but looking forward to it. I believed that a bright future was waiting for us. That is, until that day. The day of the meetup 2 months later. As we were waiting in the private room of a high-end restaurant, his parents and brother arrived a little late. Nice to meet you. This is my mom. My dad runs an internal medicine clinic. My mom is a full-time housewife. And this is my brother, who is a senior in high school. John and I introduced our families respectively. His doctor parents were dressed impressively as expected. However, his brother was a bit of a rebel, with brown hair, sloppy uniform, and constantly fiddling with his phone. After introducing ourselves, John started the conversation. I'm thinking of marrying her. With that, his father gently corrected him while stroking his mustache. First, let's get to know her family. If we're becoming family, we need to know about the other family's background and character. His mother also scrutinized us with assessing eyes. By the way, where's your father today? I've asked John to tell them that we are a single-parent household. Something is off. My father passed away when I was young, and since then, my mother raised me by herself, I explained. And his brother exaggeratedly distorted his face and said, Really? A single mother household? Unbelievable. This one, who said that with a smug attitude while crossing his legs, was his arrogant younger brother. What do you mean, unbelievable? My mother has raised me on her own until now. I'm deeply grateful for that. I couldn't help but raise my voice. Right, watch your mouth and put away that phone! John admonished him, and his brother turned away in a huff. You're a high school teacher, if I recall correctly? His mother pointed the arrow at me this time. Yes, I teach English at a public high school. As soon as I answered, his family voiced their true feelings all at once. A teacher? Huh! We don't have any in our family. And she's in the humanities? Isn't she unsuitable for our son? We wanted our son to marry a doctor's daughter. A public high school teacher seems plain and poor. I'm in a totally different world, already secured a recommendation for a medical school. Astonished at their blunt words, John raised his voice. She is a wonderful woman. She's very dedicated to her job. Don't talk to her like that. Then his father glanced at my mother. We haven't given our consent to their marriage yet. A single mother household and a teacher. What about you, ma'am? Can we ask about your educational background and job? My mother responded firmly to this. I've done various jobs since I lost my husband. Currently, I work as a janitor at a hospital and school. I only finished middle school. Before my mother finished speaking, his family looked at each other and began to laugh. Oh my, she only went to middle school and doing part-time jobs? You must have been very poor. His father was utterly dismissive of my mother. Hey, seriously, even with just a high school diploma, you're in a tight spot. So now she's a cleaning lady? Lowest of the low. His younger brother also looked down on her with an expression of disdain. Your mother only finished middle school and works as a part-time janitor? I can't even imagine such a life. I, who married into a family of doctors, can't even begin to comprehend this marriage. Is it just for the money? His mother, with her eyebrows dramatically furrowed, dealt the final blow. Just as I thought. We cannot possibly approve this marriage. His father made the declaration as if stating the final verdict. What awful people! I was stunned and at a loss for words. It's one thing for them to insult me, but to ridicule my mother, who single-handedly raised me up to this point, is unforgivable. I can't possibly be a part of this family. With a gesture, I stopped my mother from standing up, and I rose to my feet. I understand how all of you feel, so we'll consider this meeting as if it never happened. Is that acceptable? With a mask-like expression, I coldly made my declaration. After a moment of dead silence, his family exchanged glances, and then burst out laughing. I thought you were going to say something important. We're the ones who want to call off the engagement. Did you realize you were about to be turned down and out of pride, decided to call it off from your end? His parents said with a triumphant air. Wait a minute, that's not it. Unable to tolerate his parents' behavior, John interjected hurriedly. I'm sorry. I can't become a part of this family. I'm really sorry for my family's rude behavior. Seeing our earnest exchange, his parents momentarily stopped laughing. Why should you apologize? Yes, you should find a more suitable lady. Maybe a fellow doctor? Or even a wealthy lady would be nice. I prevented him from continuing, and instead I posed a question. Would it have been better if I were a wealthy heiress? Of course. Even if you're not a doctor, being a wealthy heiress wouldn't be a problem. You could support our hospital, right, dear? That's right. That might even be more beneficial for us. His parents' posturing continued. Maybe it's about time I told them the truth. So, you're saying you would want to miss out on such an opportunity? What? They were unable to comprehend my words, and looked at me perplexedly. What do you mean? By marrying our son, we'll acquire some wealth? Where would a janitor and an ordinary teacher get that kind of money? Seeing his mother and brother like this, he sighed heavily and held his temple. What's wrong? You've been acting weird. In response to his father's oblivious question, John asked, Did you not listen to their self-introductions? Does the name Yale not ring your bell? He said, and quickly looked up. What about it? It's not worth remembering such a family. Yale. His father seemed to get the hint. That's right. My grandfather is the chairman of Yale University. And the woman here is his daughter. What? Yale. Academy? The elite institution with everything from a kindergarten to a university? It even has a medical school and a hospital. His father's eyes widened in surprise. Yes, that Yale. You do know it, don't you? Now it's my turn to go off. No way. A daughter of Yale Academy dropping out of middle school? A janitor? It's impossible. Exactly. Your lie will be exposed instantly. If you feel bad, make up a better lie. I will further educate his disbelieving parents. My mother, she's a janitor in hospitals and schools, right? I'm talking about the hospitals and grad schools at Yale. What? She's undercover as a janitor. It sounds extravagant to call it an internal investigation, but her job is to observe the actual conditions of the school while cleaning to report any issues. This was a task requested directly from my grandfather. If you think it's a lie, you're welcome to verify. What? What? My detailed explanation finally seemed to lend some credibility. His parents suddenly began to panic. Why didn't you tell us something so important sooner? Yes. If we knew that, we would have. This is what happens when you don't listen to what people have to say. Such fools. I was interrupted before I could explain in detail. I was prepared to answer any questions, but it's unfortunate. I can't forgive the fact that even my precious mother was insulted, I responded quietly. The reason my mother dropped out of middle school was due to her poor health since childhood. She had a brother to carry on the family line, so my grandfather prioritized her health over education. As soon as she graduated from middle school, she moved to a country house and became healthier through ongoing treatment and rest. And there, she fell in love with my father, she said. She had a big argument with my grandparents, who wanted to marry her into a suitable family, and ended up leaving home to get married. They lived without relying on her family at all. However, when her husband passed away, and knowing that she was raising her daughters single-handedly, my grandparents recommended us returning home. But my mother didn't comply immediately. I was stubborn, she said. Knowing her, she must have felt guilty about running away and then asking to return home. Still, both wanted to see and introduce themselves to their grandchild. Gradually, the relationship improved over time. Changing her surname back to Yale was, of course, for my sake. Whether he was unable to comprehend the situation, his brother was dumbfounded. So I told him, It seems you've been recommended for admission to the medical school. Which university? What? Suddenly changing the topic flustered John's brother. Oh, so sorry. We're talking about Vassar College's medical school? Oh. His mother realized something upon saying that. Vassar College is a sister school to Yale. If I talk about today's events, your admission through a recommendation could be revoked, right? Hey, stop joking around. That's right. Our son had been admitted and nothing can change that. We even paid under the table to make up for the lack of grades. Revoking it now would be a joke. His father slipped up. Bribery? Both John and I exclaimed in unison. You went that far, Dad? No, that's not what I... Cornered, his father was clearly flustered. His mother and brother by his side turned pale. So, with such light-hearted attitude towards admission. So, it was about money after all. Did you bribe his teacher? No, like I said, that's not... The president of Vassar College is my uncle, you know. If I report this, I believe he will investigate it thoroughly. What? What authority do you have? You're so arrogant. This time, with her face beet red, his mom comes biting at us. I hold no authority here, but I was told I'd eventually work at Yale. Say what now? That's right. I obtained my teaching license, and I'm currently working as a public school teacher to gain a wide range of experience, under the condition that I would eventually work at the university. Upon hearing this, his mother's tone softened into a coo. Oh, now, let's calm down. Let's just let bygones be bygones. Your attitude will determine whether I approve of this marriage. Isn't that a fair deal? Yeah. Our son is also the heir of our clinic. He needs our permission to get married. You want to marry John, right? His father was also entirely on board. His younger brother also chimed in. Come on now. Just let them get married and tell her to not rat me out. Faced with these three selfish people, he yelled, I don't need permission from you people to get married. I'm cutting ties with all of you. What? At his fury, his family was stunned. I always thought you were pretentious because we come from a line of doctors. But I never thought you'd show such an attitude at an important first meeting with my significant other. Hey, what are you saying? That's right. Cut ties? With us? Facing his parents, who were lost for words, he continued unflinchingly. I was utterly ashamed of the way you guys have spoken to her and her mom. And the idea of bribing someone to get my brother into med school? How foolish. What? I despise you all. I don't consider you my family anymore. I'm going to marry her and be happy. Please stay out of our lives for good. With his declaration of cutting off family ties, the parents were flustered. So, you're saying you're not taking over the clinic? But, if our younger son doesn't get into medical school, there's no heir. He brushed off his parents' serious plea. I have no intention of taking over. I've been asked to stay on as a surgeon after graduation from Yale. I've been considering working as a surgeon at a hospital rather than being an internist at your clinic. What? I don't care. Let him take over the clinic. Hey, wait. Think it over. We have patients who come to us because they expect you to eventually take over. That's right. We'll be in trouble if you don't take over. Bro, I have no place to work at in the future. Say you'll take over. Ignoring the chaos of his family, he turned to my mother. I am truly sorry. I want to sever ties from my family here and build a home with your daughter. Please allow us to marry. His voice seemed to tremble a bit. You don't need to apologize. I didn't fall for you because you're a doctor. I fell in love with your kindness and sincerity. My mother, who was next to him, nodded and said, That's right. I know that you're a kind and respectable young man. It's amazing that you're a surgeon. I want to support your dreams and happiness. Thank you. I really appreciate it. As he continued to bow, my mother watched him with a smile. His family watched this scene in a state of shock. Mom, let's go home. There's no point in staying here anymore. Indeed. Then we shall take our leave. If there's anything else you need to say, please reach out here. My mother left the business card of Yale's legal advisor as she left. 1 year since then, John and I are married and living happily together. He stayed at the hospital after graduating from Yale, working as a diligent and skilled surgeon. Despite his busy days with little sleep, I'm happy to see him working enthusiastically. My grandfather, who took a liking to him, said, I hope you'll join our university's hospital in the future. As for his family, firstly, the truth about my brother-in-law's bribery was revealed, and the teacher who accepted the money was strictly punished. My brother-in-law was already a delinquent and didn't have the grades, so his admission through recommendation was revoked. He tried to get into med school through general admission, but of course, he didn't pass. He's supposed to be studying while taking a year off, but with his attitude, it's questionable how seriously he's taking it. That guy needs to experience hard work and hardship, and how to understand others' feelings. He was shrugging too. His parents' clinic was losing patients due to the arrogant attitude of the director. People who had high hopes for my husband left as soon as they realized that he wasn't going to take over, accelerating the clinic's financial difficulties. His mother, with her attitude, turned all the nurses and office staff against her, so most of them quit. News about the bribery for college admissions spread, and they were ostracized by relatives and the industry, finally deciding to close the clinic. As for me, at my grandfather's request, he hopes not only for me to be an educator, but eventually to contribute to management as well. I've begun studying administration of educational institutions. Guided by my uncle and seniors, I want to learn and grow little by little to become a better professional. Seeing me, my mother said,
"It's wonderful to see our family become even more united."
The one who's really happy to hear such words is me. I want to give back even more in the future. While my days are indeed busy with a mountain of things to learn, I am blessed to have the life I am leading, and am very grateful for the support I receive from my beloved mother and husband.